Hello and welcome to Cover 2 TV. I'm Chris Pajak. This is Tom Jennings. No Stehor again this week. We still have no idea where he is, but we're here nonetheless, regardless, to ask and answer the question: if you had to pick one of the quarterbacks that was drafted between 2013 and 2016 for the next decade, for the next 10 years, who would you pick? Where would your money go? And we've got a few of the candidates here. So we've got potential candidates: Derek Carr, Marcus Mariota, Jameis Winston, Goff, Wentz, Jimmy Garoppolo. Yeah, easy for me to say. Trevor Siemian, Teddy Bridgewater, Manziel, Geno Smith, EJ Emanuel, Paxton Lynch, Blake Bortles, and Mike Glennon. Now, half of that list seems okay. Half of it doesn't seem very good. We're going to run through. Let's run through the duds first.
Let's just run through the fun ones. So, like Johnny Manziel, anyone remember him?
Yeah.
The saviour for the Cleveland Browns.
Not
except
really Johnny football, is he? Let's be honest.
It was like so clear, like, don't draft him. He's an alcoholic and he's going to be terrible. Well done, Browns.
They've had issues over the years with drafting, haven't they, the old Browns. This highlights those issues, I think. And for me, look, he's not going to be one of the players that I'll be putting my money on for leading my team for the next 10 years. Absolutely no chance. I think we can just write him off straight out the back. Is there anyone else that you're just writing off?
Well, Geno Smith,
yeah.
Terrific leadership ability, getting knocked out by your own cornerback. I mean, that was hilarious.
Yeah, Geno. I mean, look, EJ Emanuel, Paxton Lynch, Mike Glennon had a couple of okay games here and there. Really, though, I mean, we're not picking any of these guys, are we?
No, but I'd just like to do a little bit on Paxton Lynch. If you've watched the news show, well, my forgotten one, and the one Chris actually did, the fact that Paxton Lynch is losing out to Trevor Siemian 2 years in a row is starting to make him look like a bust, because it's not like he's sitting behind Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers. It's Trevor Siemian.
Yeah. So
I'm thinking he's going to be a bust, and I think both of them are going to be career backups.
Okay, so you're not going to put your money on Trevor Siemian either?
Well, we've put Trevor Siemian in the potential candidates box because he is going to be starting next season. And when you look at the people we've got for potential candidates, most of them are either starting or, like Teddy Bridgewater's injured, or Jimmy G, who's just about to get paid. So he's there, he's in the potential candidates, but he's not someone I'm going to pick one.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not going for him either. The conversation really is built more around who you would pick for the next 10 years. And, there are a couple of options there, Winston, Mariota, Carr, Goff, Wentz, Jimmy, and we've already mentioned that we're going to fuck off Trevor Siemian. Who is your top of the list there, and why?
Well, for me, I think it's hard to say who's the top of the list. I think we're seeing that with Carr. I think everyone loves Carr. I think right now Carr's the best out of the lot of them. But for me, I think Mariota might have the best career for the next decade. I think if he stays injury-free, the way he plays, I think he's going to be the best quarterback next decade. He's especially good in the red zone. That's something that you always want to see because that's where it matters the most, the last 20 and the start 20. I think Mariota's going to be the actual best one. I also love his athleticism and the fact that he doesn't just run for the sake of running. He runs just gain yards and gets down and gets out the way and then runs to throw. And I think that's what the best type of quarterbacks are. I think he could be like he's not going to be better than Aaron Rodgers, but like somewhere between Alex Smith and Aaron Rodgers. So that kind of player, but not quite the throwing motion of Aaron Rodgers, but a little bit more, wins a lot more games than Alex Smith by him making plays. Mm-hmm. I think the only drawback to Mariota is he's been injured both seasons, and that's the worry because his style of play does lead to injuries.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you there, to be honest with you. I think, we've seen him get injured, we've seen him go down, and that would be the reason that I didn't pick him, if I'm honest. I think if he was fit, I agree with you. I think he could have a very, very good career in the NFL, but right now, and again, I'm picking a guy who's gone down injured, but I'm going to go with Derek Carr because I think his upside is more than all the others right now. I think you've seen that he can lead the Oakland Raiders, who, let's be honest, before last season, they were unfashioned. No one was thinking about them, and yet he's managed to drag them into contenders. I think they'll be one of the better sides this season, maybe 5th, 6th best side in the NFL, and that's down to Derek Carr. Now, just quickly, no Dak Prescott on this list. Is that because
That is because that was a massive oversight by me, and I've only just realised that the minute you said it, and you didn't see it on the agenda. So do we want to talk about Dak Prescott for a while?
I think we've got to talk about Dak Prescott, because I wondered whether you were doing that as like a 16-17 draft cut-off point when you've written the agenda, and I'm thinking, it doesn't work like that in the NFL. Yeah. I think we have to talk about Dak Prescott, and we have to talk about his upside. Now, the one thing that we've seen with Dak this last season just gone, is that, it's very easy to come into the league when you've got a good running back, but we've never really seen a quarterback rookie and a running back rookie come in at the same time and be as dominant as those two were last season.
No, it's almost unheard of to have two rookies to just take over the league. And speaking of Dak Prescott, it's not because I don't like the person why I've got him. I just literally did this at 5 o'clock in the morning. I love the way he spreads the ball around. So I think there's potential there that Dak Prescott could actually be the best. I don't think his talent level's up there with Mariota. I'm probably going to be wrong on this now, but I don't think it is. But I think it is interesting because last time I can remember 2 picks being put on the quarterback and the running back was when it was LaDainian Tomlinson and Drew Brees. And that took a few years to get going, whereas Tomlinson coming straight away was amazing. It took Brees to his last couple of years in San Diego for people to start noticing, which is why they drafted Phillip Rivers. So it is unusual to have the quarterback and the running back coming straight away and be amazing.
Yeah, I agree, and I base Carr off the list that you provided, if I'm perfectly honest. But I think there could be a little downturn this season. I think we'll find out whether Dak Prescott is good. Now, the thing with Dak Prescott for me is I watched a lot of Cowboys games last season. I'm sure everybody did. They're always on the telly. The one thing that I could see straight away is that he's a player, and you know what I like about him, he might not have the arm strength of some of these quarterbacks that on the list, and he might not have the ability to move around in the pocket quite as well as some of these quarterbacks on the list, but what he does do is he makes great decisions, and he makes them consistently, and that's another thing. Like you talked about Mariota, about how he does in the end zone and how he does in his 20 and stuff like that, but consistently making the right decisions as a quarterback is just the biggest part, for me anyway, as arm strength. And Dak Prescott makes a lot of good decisions. It'll be different. Like, for example, if he comes into the Vikings, who would, I always think of it like for the Vikings, who would I want for the Vikings? Yeah. It's difficult to say because every team's built differently, and they're built with different weapons and stuff like that. But the way that Dallas play and the way that they played last season suggests that Dak Prescott's going to have a very good career.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's everything's there set up for him now in Dallas. I think he's got, unless people start doubling up on Cole Beasley, I think that's his blanket. He loves him, and then he just gets it about. And when you've got that, when he's not asked to... See, Dallas got a terrible defence, but it's okay because Ezekiel Elliott keeps the ball and keeps control of the offense, and Dak makes smart decisions. That's good football. That's how you win games in the NFL consistently. That's all Tom Brady for his first 4 years did. Yeah. Relied on Corey Dillon's running game and just made good decisions, picking out Troy Brown, Deion Branches, players like that, and just kept it going until he became the franchise quarterback around the 2006-07 Brady, where he was suddenly just dominating the league and turning it up. But before then, he was more of a game manager. He just found the right players at the right time when he needed to. And we've seen that from Dak Prescott. It was interesting that when he was coming out, Ike Taylor was talking about he's the best out of a lot of them. He was very high on Dak Prescott. I think he's being found to be right, I think, over most scouts, which is probably why Pittsburgh Steelers have took him as a scouting intern.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, I listened to Ike Taylor a lot. He's on the Dave Damashek football programme a lot, so you hear a lot of his thoughts, and they're never quite with everybody else. He puts out some crazy shouts and stuff, but generally speaking, I think he's a very good analyst. I think he knows how to spot a player. I think, having played the game at such a high level and won Super Bowls with the Steelers says that he's respected, and you should respect his opinion. One of the things that I wanted to talk about with Dak then, and following on from your Brady point really, is, do you think there's more to his game that we'll see over the next few years? Do you think he could become a little bit more expansive in his plays as he gets used to the playbook? Well,
he's going to need to, because the thing about, we're picking mainly people on rookie contracts, because that was the main criteria. People that play in the NFL are on rookie contracts. Because when you get taken off your rookie contract, you then get all the money. When you get all the money, it's all dependent on you, how well you do, because you're getting all the money, so therefore you can't afford as many wide receivers, as many running backs, as much defensive depth. So he's going to need to expand on his playbook than what we saw last season. But if he continues to play like last season, there's no ceiling. There's no ceiling of how good he can actually be.
And I always found it interesting last season that, you know, you mentioned earlier that Cole Beasley was a security blanket, and, you know, I thought, is it going to be Witten? Because it always was for Tony Romo, and I know that quarterbacks build up a rapport with receivers or tight ends and stuff, and I thought it would have been very easy for him to use Witten, but he really didn't, did he? Like, they never really got that connection, not in the same way that Cole Beasley was.
See, the interesting point I think about that is when you look at what Witten is a jump ball specialist. You can just throw it up to him and he gets it over the defender. Cole Beasley gets open. So what that tells me is that Dak Prescott is just throwing it to who's open, which is usually Cole Beasley. And again, when we're saying, making the big comparisons to Tom Brady, look, the players he prefers is the people that get open. It's the Wes Welker, it's the Julian Edelman, it's the Deion Branch, it's the Troy Brown. It's whoever's open, he throws it to. And that's what Dak's got about him, which is what I like about Dak Prescott. He just throws it through his open. Whereas Tony Romo is more of a chancer. He'd go, I think Witten or Brian can win this, so I'll throw it up and let's see what they can do. So I think that's a good sign that he's just thrown to the open guy.
What do you think about, I mean, we've not spoken about this, but, you know, there's a large group of people who believe that, as football players it is normally, you talk about, you know, the game slowing down in the second year. You come in as a rookie and it seems to go very, very fast. It's a much higher pace than it was in college ball and stuff like that. Do you think the game's going to slow down for Prescott this season?
I don't. I think it's going to look like the speed up for him, because I think defenses are now going to have enough film on to scheme for him and what he does. Whereas I think the game slows down for players who come in as a rookie and they don't do very well, and then he's figured it out the next season. I think when
they're adapting their game more.
Yeah, when you're protected, like he was, because he was protected with having Zeke Elliott, which he may not have now. There's issues regarding that. The offensive line's still the best in the league, but it's not as good as took a step back. He's going to have to see more and do more. So it might actually be, he's got to process a little bit more information than what he did before, which was Zeke, no. Cole, no. All right, I'll have a couple Bryant. Maybe now he's got to maybe go Zeke, Cole, Bryant, and then who's on the other side, then back to Witten, and just have to process a little bit more information. So for him, it may not slow down.
So you're thinking more no throws essentially, and more sacks maybe, and more tackles on and more hits. Okay, well we'll move on then. That was interesting. I'm glad we remembered him, because we'd got slated by the 6 people who watched this video if we'd forgotten Dak Prescott. Okay, what about Jameis Winston?
Well, Jameis, I was looking at him, and he's threw for over 20 touchdowns in both seasons. That's pretty good for a rookie. Not many rookies come out and do that. He's also thrown for 4,000 yards in both seasons. That's insane. And when you're also looking at these quarterbacks, what you have to look at is who's around them and the talent around Jameis for offensive weapons. I mean, he threw, I think it was 29% of his passes last season to Mike Evans, I was reading. Mike Evans is a beast. He just catches everything. And when you've got that kind of talent with you, and you're allowed to grow with that, and you've got Deshaun Jackson now on the other side to just be a burner. The sky's the limit with Jameis, and it is something that you will consider. And he's getting, the stats are going up per season. So though he's only currently now got a 59.6 pass percentage, that was because he got 60% last season compared to 58 the season before. Mm-hmm. So it's increasing. So everything he's doing, he's getting better, which is what you want to see. Okay.
And what about then Jared Goff? Are you seriously thinking about Goff for 10 years?
I'm not. I feel like Jared Goff he was one of these quarterbacks which happens every couple of years where he gets talked up because the team needs a quarterback. And that's what seemed to happen with Jared Goff. Everyone was like, well, we need a quarterback. Who's the best one in the draft? And what we often find is the best one in the draft, not necessarily the best one for your team, for your franchise. And look at that Rams offense. I mean, he's got nobody around him to throw it to. It's such a limited wide receiving core. Todd Gurley's not a great pass catcher from the backfield. So, I don't know. I think the Rams are in a mess, and I've never bought into Goff. I don't think there's enough there on tape.
No, I think he's going to have it. I think he's going to have it very difficult, because I think you made a really interesting point there. Actually, I think, you know, when quarterbacks are being talked up before the draft, the hype takes over, and then the hype makes them the pressure even more. And you're thinking to yourself, this guy wasn't he wasn't that good. You know, everyone's talked about him and because the off-season's so long and everything going on, you think to yourself, he's not as good as everyone's saying, and it really is, and it'll be a struggle for him, and I hope he does turn it around. I really do. I hope all of the players that we've talked about have managed to turn it around and have good careers, because that's what I want to see. I want to see good quarterback play in the NFL. You know, ultimately that's what it's about for me. You know, you want to see players go out there, give their all, and produce great moments and great plays, and have success or limited success with some of the teams. Because obviously I want the Vikings to have the most success, but that doesn't look like changing anytime soon. But I think he's got more chance of being a Johnny Manziel than.
Well, let's not say Johnny Manziel, because Johnny Manziel was a complete situation of his own. He's got more chance of being EJ Manuel, who was taken 15th and then just never did anything. Or like a Blaine Gabbert, who was taken, I think, 10th or 11th, so he was quite high, and just didn't do nothing, because teams talk themselves into the position of, we need this position, who's out there? And also, I think too many teams, right, they need a quarterback, but they don't have the pieces around them. The best way, I think, to build a team is get all your pieces there and then get the quarterback to plug them in for the year, and then in the second year do something with them. A la Ben Roethlisberger. Wasn't great in his first year. Second year won a Super Bowl because everything around him was ready for him. Same with Russell Wilson. Everything around him was there. I think these teams that are going, i.e. the Jets, what we expect them to do next season, having like completely get rid of everyone and just putting a quarterback in there, I think they tend to fail a lot more. And that's why I think bad teams stay bad, is because they build teams the wrong way. They think that a quarterback's just going to be the answer. And I think that's the situation with Goff. They were hoping Goff is just going to be the answer without addressing all the other needs across the offense.
I think that's a really great point, to be honest, mate. I actually agree with you 100%, and it's not something I'd ever considered before, but you've got to look at it and go, why wouldn't you do it that way around? I mean, you're putting so much pressure on a young kid to come in and be your starter from day one, and yet he's got no tools to work with. It's mental. It's absolutely mental. It's a great point. Okay, well, we'll move on to Carson Wentz then. Where do you think he's going to be?
I look at Carson Wentz, and I think he's going to end up as a middle-of-the-road quarterback. I think we're talking Andy Dalton scale.
I was thinking exactly that.
That's all I've seen from. I think the massive drop-off in play.
Because he's ginger?
No. No, Carson Palmer's ginger, and I like Carson Palmer.
I meant the comparison.
Yeah, but they're both
fine.
There's a few. Yeah.
We'll move on.
You know, I just think there's not been enough. There's such a massive slide that worries me. I know he's went back to fix it. I think we're going to learn a lot from Wentz next year, because that's when we're going to see who he is. Who is he? Is he a good quarterback, or is he middle of the road quarterback? And in his first season, I think it's hard to decide. I mean, what do you think about him?
I've got to admit that I was massively impressed, as everybody was, with that first. I think it was it 4 games? They went 4-0. It was, wasn't it? And I thought, you know what, this guy's making the right decisions off the quarterbacks that were playing at the time. I was thinking he was the best one. I was looking at it, and then it all fell apart really, really quickly for him, and he just couldn't seem to get anything going in an offensive sense. But I do look back at those first 4 games and go, you know what, if this guy applies himself and has the pieces around him, then he can step it up. I think he could be, you know, maybe if I had to put a number on, I hate putting numbers on these things actually. I think you could see him around about 8th best quarterback in the league. Between 8 and 15.
That's so specific.
I know. Let's say between 8 and 15 then. I think he can be above average. I think he's got the skill set that he can definitely do that. There's no way I'd be picking him on last season for 10 years though. Yeah. And that's what this show's about.
Yeah, I think he's one of them. The 8 to the 15, that's usually about where you can get someone who can have a Super Bowl run, who just gets hot for the Super Bowl, and I think that's what you're saying. You can see it when you can see that kind of Super Bowl run, but not the kind of guy who's going to be a contender for every Super Bowl for the next 10 years, which is mainly what we're looking at. And
look at that's all based on the teams as well, isn't it? You know, how many teams have over the last 15 years consistently fought for Super Bowls? It's only your Patriots that have dominated. You know, we've had the Steelers there and thereabouts a couple of times. We've had the New York Giants, but you wouldn't say they've consistently. I mean, they've won 2 Super Bowls,
and then did nothing in between.
But they've done absolutely nothing, haven't they? And so, you know, maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. You know, you get one of those Baltimore Ravens runs at the Super Bowl, and you might be able to get something like that out of Wentz one season. But he needs the pieces around him. Here's the really interesting one for me. It's the last player that we'll probably talk about. It's your backup. It's Jimmy. I would almost comfortably pick him as the winner on this.
Yeah.
Because Belichick obviously sees something. Now, we've not got enough tape on him to know one way or another exactly how good this player can be. But if Bill Belichick thinks you're a success, and you could be a success, and he's jeopardising his relationship with Brady in a way to make sure that he's the quarterback of the future, then I'd be pretty tempted to just go along with Belichick, if I'm honest.
Well, so I have watched Jimmy and I've watched him as much as I possibly can to have a real understanding. And he does look that good. I mean, I didn't put his stats on this sheet because there's not that many of them, but they're so impressive. It's like a 68% completion rate. It's like, I think it's 5 touchdowns to 0 interceptions. It's like QB rating of like 120 something. Everything he does, he just so persistent, it's so fluid, he just moves in the pocket like I wouldn't say Aaron Rodgers, but almost as well as that, and then just throws it on the run. Throws it on the run well, throws it in the pocket well. He does everything you want in a quarterback. But the other thing is, we mentioned this with Mariota. He did get injured. He only played 2 games because he got injured in one of them. That's a concern because he's not a big fella. He's not a big fella, and that's a concern there. It was a weird tackle and one of those ones that can happen to anyone. But then is he going to be a fragile quarterback because he only played 2 games?
You can only base it on those 2 games, can't you? But you can look at other quarterbacks around the league, and Drew Brees is the perfect example of this. He's not a big fella, has to throw differently to everybody else, has to look over his line and stuff like that, but has managed to stay injury-free pretty much consistently for his entire career. Might even get a chance of breaking the all-time passing record before he hangs up his cleats. Nearly. But what you're saying is right. You've had 2 games to judge him, and he got injured in one of them. And that's the thing, isn't it? Now, again, look, I'd quite happily go with Belichick because Belichick knows more about American football. Belichick's forgotten more about American football than I've ever known in my 18 years of watching it. But I think if I had to put my money on it right now, it's between Prescott and Carr. And I think Carr's done it with a few less tools, so I might be tempted to go with Carr.
Well, just on Carr, you know, he's already thrown for 81 touchdowns.
Mental.
In 3 years, is it? That's mental. That is a mental amount of touchdowns, and he's only threw, I can't remember off the top of my head, and can't bother looking down.
I'll do it. 31 interceptions.
31 interceptions, yeah. Truthfully, my eyesight's too bad to see that from looking down.
It is. It's level. If you ever see like a really, really old person looking at an iPhone and you see the text messages and you can get one word on the screen, so see how small our notes are? He's got absolutely no chance. So if you see him looking down at the screen, it's not to read. It's because he's thinking of something to say, I'm guessing.
Yeah, probably.
But look, okay, so we'll go in. Carr 60.09% pass completion, 7 yards per attempt over the last 2 years, 20 plus touchdowns in every season, 81 touchdowns to 31 interceptions, and you know, comfortably probably the best all-round stats over the core.
So I think we got to remember with Carr as well. He's got Amari Cooper and Michael Crabtree. So he's got one of the best wide receiving tandems out of the rest of them. His wide receiving tandem is great. So I think Carr would be the obvious answer to this question. I think most people who, you know, watching this or like the NFL, if they got asked this question, who do you like? I think most people would pick Carr. I think he's the clear favourite. But I'm going to stick with my outside shot to Marcus Mariota because I just like the way he plays and I like to watch them. And he makes Tennessee interesting. And I'm pretty sure the Titans didn't exist until he got there.
No, they did.
Can anyone
prove? They had a running back a few years ago who was pretty good. I'm sure you remember him. Okay, well, listen, there you go. That's my shout is Carr. His shout's Mariota. Let us know your shout in the comment section below. Have we missed anybody else who was drafted last year that was really good? Let him know. Get in touch with us, of course, on Twitter @Cover2TV in the comment section of the YouTube video. Again, thank you so much for watching. We really enjoy these shows. We're really looking to expand the shows over the course of the season as well. We'll really hopefully ramp it up when the when the season starts, which isn't too far away, thankfully. I can't wait to get into the NFL season this year. It's going to be completely different because we're doing the show now. So it should be, we'll have a little bit more invested in it. It should make watching every single game even more enjoyable. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and we'll see you on the next video.